Hi everyone, welcome back to MUS119. Today we're going to get into Module 5A and the topic is the fabric of music, exploring musical textures. Musical textures, which are the layers of sound, are what make music feel simple or dense or rich. So let's get started. Well, firstly, there are three types of musical texture. There's monophonic, there's homophonic, and polyphonic. So monophonic means, mono means one, homo means same, and poly means many. So I think most of you would be familiar with these terms, and let's see how they work in a musical context. So first is monophonic. Monophonic means it's a single melodic line with no harmony or accompaniment. You can picture a singer singing in an empty hall without any accompaniment, without any other instruments accompanying the singer. This is very, very common back in the days when we had Gregorian chants, where the monks in the monasteries would sing together, would chant together, but they're all singing the same line, and that is monophonic music. And also, you will probably have experienced that yourself when we sing Happy Birthday. It's usually everyone singing the same thing, right? So whether it's one person singing Happy Birthday or 100 people singing Happy Birthday, it all comes out the same. It's still this one single melodic line with no harmony or accompaniment. So it doesn't really matter how many people are singing or how many instruments are playing. As long as they're all singing or playing the same thing, that is still considered monophonic music. So let's listen to an example. All right, so I'm pretty sure that all of you are familiar with this song, Row, Row, Row Your Boat, something we learned when we were, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years old. Um, a timeless classic for sure. And in this example, you can see that there are four different instruments playing this melody. There's the flute, the oboe, the clarinet, and the bassoon. But they're all playing the same melody. Well, some instruments are playing a little bit higher, like the flute and the oboe. The clarinet is playing a middle C down there, and the bassoon is playing really low, but they're all still playing the same melody. So we can still consider this as monophonic music. Well, next we have homophonic. And homophonic means that there's one main melody supported by chords or accompaniment. I think most of us are pretty familiar with homophonic music because that's what we hear on a daily basis. I would say 99% of the music that we listen to are homophonic in nature because there's always this one main melody that is being sung by the singer, and then there are all these instruments in the back that are supporting that main singer. So I even included this little picture with these four kids on a little boat where there's this guy at the very front who is the leader, and then the three in the back are supporting him. It doesn't really make much sense, if you think about people going on a boat, but at least I hope that this gives you some kind of visual cue when you think about homophonic music. So once again, examples of homophonic music would be most pop songs or a church hymn where the choir sings together in harmony and usually in the same rhythm. So let's hear another example, and this time it's still Row, Row, Row Your Boat, but in homophonic texture. All right. So after listening to this example, I'm pretty sure that you felt that this version sounded a lot more rich, right? You hear the melody very clearly and you hear other instruments, but they're not really in conflict with each other. There's this very, clear flute melodic line, and then the other three instruments playing slightly lower or softer, and they're all trying to support the flute and make it shine. So this is homophonic music. If you look at the score or the sheet music I have here, you can see a bit more in detail. So definitely pause the video and take a quick look at it. Next, we have polyphonic music, and this is what I think is the most exciting kind of music because it's usually so sophisticated and complex. So polyphonic music means there are two or more independent melodies played or sung simultaneously. Poly means many, right? So this means that it's no longer one voice having the main role and everyone else with the supportive role, but instead everyone is considered equal. So especially in earlier times, like in the Renaissance or Baroque periods, in polyphonic music, every single voice would have its own independence, and all these voices would work together harmoniously as a whole, and that would be true from the beginning of the piece to the end of the piece, like in a fugue by Johann Sebastian Bach. So this has definitely sparked some interesting discussions among philosophers and musicians whether polyphonic music reflects ideas of socialism or collectivism, because there's obviously a shared sense of responsibility, there's mutual support, and not a single dominant voice. Well, I'll leave it up to you to explore and decide, but in a purely musical sense, polyphonic music is when each voice is independent and every voice is equally important. It's these layers of melody weaving together to create a rich and complex and group of sound. So let's listen to an example, and this is going to be a round using row, row, row your boat. So what I think it will be a lot clearer when you hear it. But basically, a round is when one instrument or singer starts singing, and at some point another singer joins, but they will be singing the exact same melody, and the music has been composed in such a way that even though performers are joining in at different points in time, and they're playing from the very beginning of the melody, it still works seamlessly well together with all the different instruments, and the effect is usually very exciting. So let's listen to the example first, and then we can take a quick look at the score. All right, so this is row, row, row your boat in a round form. And what I want to bring to your attention is the entry points of each instrument. First, you heard the flute begin the melody. And then after two measures, we have the oboe play that same melody, but this time it's an octave higher than the flute. And then another two measures later, we have the bassoon come in really, really low. And that just creates this really strong contrast, and it just makes it really fun. And then after two more measures, we have the clarinet join. So I'm sure there are many other tunes like this that you can sing and have another person join in, and certainly have done this when I was young, and it's always a really wonderful throwback to hear something like that again. So in conclusion, there are three types of musical texture. There's monophonic, homophonic, and polyphonic. All right, I will see you in the next lecture, and take care, everyone.